In the latest update, called 20.30, a large portion of Tilted Towers was destroyed. The scale of the change in the middle of a season and the fact that it was literally done between 2 rounds of the largest tournament of the season caused a large backlash in the competitive community. Let's explore why this happens and what can be done. Ever since Fortnite was released, there have been regular updates. The start of each season usually has some large changes, often a POI is destroyed, added, or just altered massively. It's part of the charm of Fortnite that there is progression. The younger and more casual audience love the storyline of these battles for the island, the UFO invasions, the monsters, and all the other characters that fit in. And the older folks, well, we probably appreciate the changes more than we realise. Staleness is something often complained about, but imagine how much worse it would be if people actually had the same map for 4 years. I love the fact that new places pop up, and I think people often don't realise how refreshing that is for the game. Even within a chapter we get large updates that keep things fresh, like in chapter 1 that had an ice biome and a desert biome added, and even a large volcano. In chapter 2 we had a season where half the map was underwater, and others with UFOs on the map. We need map changes, it is quite clear at this stage. But there is a difference between changes made at the start of a season and changes made during it. At the start of the season there's usually at least a month until FNCS starts, the most important tournament of the season. That's plenty of time to prepare everything with your duo, even with a totally new drop spot. This latest update came on the single day between round 1 and 2 of the first FNCS qualifier. The teams who landed North Tilted have had half of their drop spot totally destroyed, and the rest of Tilted is also affected greatly, perhaps to a slightly lesser extent. The feeling that Tilted could house at least 3 duos has now gone. And believe it or not, that's by no means the worst timing we've had. I was reminded recently of Season 8, where the Cube POI had its ammo crates and chests removed between the 2 days of Grand Finals. Teams need time to prepare their game plans. You need to pick your drop spot and get a drop map. You need to figure out an efficient loot path and find strats for off-spawn fights. And then you need to create backup plans for everything in case you're out-dropped or over-contested. Once you have all of this, you need your rotations and maybe Storm Surge planned. Only then can you fully start practicing it in Arena, Scrims and Cash Cup and be as prepared as possible for FNCS. This is the sort of thing that realistically takes weeks to perfect. Look at how in-depth other esports like CSGO get with their strats when the game is stable and they work in their team and their org to strategize everything. It's a beautiful sight to see a team that has learnt to dominate a map over the course of several months in those games. The same applies to Fortnite, with teams that are landing in one drop spot for a long time getting better and better. One day is not enough preparation time in Fortnite. But the short prep time is not necessarily a game-breaking issue in itself. If everyone had to do last-minute prep before or even during a tournament, then you could consider that to be fair because you're testing their ability to adapt quickly. Adaptation has always been a part of Fortnite. Anyone playing with 2019 strats is not going to succeed these days, because the meta changes and new strategies are found over time. The bigger problem is when the changes only affect some people and not others. These mid-season updates only affect small parts of the map, 1 or 2 POIs at a time, so 10% of the players have to adapt and the others can stay with the plans that they've been perfecting for weeks. That update to the cube area in the middle of Grands I mentioned before affected one team in every region. In the middle of the biggest tournament of the season, they had to scrap their plans and go land on somebody else, thereby also ruining that team's tournament. Everyone else was chilling and just mentally preparing for day 2. It's the same with this latest update, which affected every team going to Tilted. On EU, the team most affected are Nebs and Kinzel, who lost half their drop spot. You also have Savage Benji and DKS Bad Sniper, who both have to adapt to a slightly new situation. Maybe Nebs and Kinzel will find somewhere else, but claiming of drop spots through a season is a big thing for the top teams, and they had a great situation set up for them, with a lot of loot, an NPC that sold pads, and no other top teams on their side of Tilted. We'll have to see how they adapt and whether they can quickly create a new plan for the remainder of FNCS. If the rumours are true, the Tilted blimp will also disappear sometime before Grand Finals, which then changes everything once again, and who knows if more of the POI will be destroyed at the same time as well. Tilted was the second largest and second most popular place on the map after Command Cavern, so this Tilted nerf now makes the map even more imbalanced towards Cavern. There are probably now 3 times as many teams landing there than any other place on the map. But the balance of the map is not what we're focusing on here, it's just a bad side effect of this particular change. We're feeling sorry for all the Tilted players, some of whom have had to move with no warning whatsoever. So why is it like this? If CSGO, Dota, LoL and any other esport thrive off stability and clear communication of every change, then why does Epic not make Fortnite comp more like that? They surely don't enjoy the constant complaining from the pros. To me, it's clear that Epic don't see esports as a serious esport. They see it as a marketing tool for their casual game. That's why they've always tried as hard as possible not to separate casual and competitive. That's why they make competitive as accessible as possible in terms of tournament entry requirements. Orgs are left on the sidelines and Epic never even acknowledges their existence because they aren't seen as important for their marketing strategy. Unfortunately, this probably means that competitive player opinions don't matter so much either. After all, if the pros quit, there will always be another load of people ready to win the tournaments instead because there's prize money. If anything, more people might play comp if all the top 100 players left, because suddenly everyone is much closer than before to the skill required to make earnings. Fairness is not their #1 priority. I'm not saying they don't think about it, but in the end, the content and publicity is much more important. And unfortunately, removing half of Tilted Towers in the middle of the season has more positives for them than negatives. So is there anything that I think that they could do differently? Well, clearly I do not work at Epic. Everything I've said here about them is somewhat an assumption. I do not know their true business plan, I can only speculate. Given that they want the Fortnite storyline to progress, maybe they could lock the map in competitive only, but that sounds like a bit too much of a disconnect between casual and competitive players for their liking, and maybe it wouldn't be easy for their game code either. Or maybe they could plan the map changes carefully, that the big ones all happen either between seasons, very early in the season, or after FNCS Grands. That seems like the most sensible way to go without compromising the effectiveness of their storylines. As an avid follower and fan of competitive Fortnite, I just hope for the day when competitive fairness is right at the top of the priority list, because we all want tournaments to thrive and pros to continue enjoying the game that is changing their lives. I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts on this topic. I'll see you next time.